to the studio, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursdays. So, let me just get things situated here so I can see what it is I'm doing, make sure everything is looking good. We want everything to be nice and level and even, so just bear with me for just 1 second while I get this leveled off a bit. Okay, that kind of looks good. So let's take that off and we'll kind of straighten this out and we'll get started. So, welcome to another episode of Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday is my weekly series where I pull out my retired Stampin' Up stash and I create two projects, whether it's an individual standalone stamp set, bundle, or a suite. So for this week, I am using an online exclusive item that was Happy Little Things. So the stamp set has your outline of your words along with your filler stamp. You have some uh, greetings that are in script, and you got some that are in just a non-cursive font. And so a lot of different combinations that you can do with the words that are in this set. Along with that, there is a set of dies, Happy Little Things. All it is just two little banner dies right here that are in this set. And so let's go ahead and let's get started and let's get these we'll get the projects done. Words are kind of hard at this point of the day. It's been a long, busy day. We've had some weather here today and thunderstorms. And I know that there's a lot of other people down south that are also getting some pretty intense weather as well. So for all of you, please stay safe. So for this card, I did see a layout similar to this on Pinterest. I did a change up as far as, it's a case, but then at the same time, I kind of made it my own. It's basically white with a pop of color. Now, to get my inspiration for my colors for this card, I did purchase the color cubes. So there was a new set, 4 different volumes of the color cube. So there's a lot of new color combinations, and so I figured I would pull this out and you get my inspiration for my colors to do this card. So on these cards, these are not Stampin' Up! Colors. This is card number 56. So this is out of the first volume, I believe. It's the first volume. Yeah, first volume. And so we have the colors, we have the hex codes on here. So I basically took these colors and kind of found some Stampin' Up! Colors that were pretty close to this. So when I looked at this, I'm seeing like pumpkin pie, melon mambo, petunia pop. I'm seeing also like maybe Bermuda Bay, Granny Apple Green, and Daffodil Delight. So as far as my colors go, I kind of pulled off of this. And so one thing, let me bring up, didn't bring up my all my dimensions. So bear with me for 1 second here while I bring that up. What am I doing? I'm doing Throwback Thursday and Happy Little Things. And here we go. All right, so for my card base, I have a piece of basic white thick that measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of basic white. This measures 5 by 3 3/4. I have another piece of basic white. This measures 4 by 3/4. And then ahead of time, I did my die cutting. So I used the one banner die that's in the bundle, and I die cut 2 of the flagged banner pieces, 2 in Melon Mambo, 2 in Pumpkin Pie, and then 2 in Petunia Pop. And then I used the Nested Essentials dies, and I die cut this small rectangle here in basic white as well. All right, so I'll start off. I'll fold and burnish my card base. And I want to keep an eye on my screen. If I have the camera too low, what happens, it keeps on like bouncing in and out. It wants to like focus, so I may have to bring this up just a little bit so it doesn't do that. All right, so I have burnished my card base. Then on this piece of basic white, I'm going to do a fun little technique where I'm going to do some scoring to add some interest to this piece. And I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored board and bring that in. And I'll put that up there in the corner. And I have my stylus. And I am going to score this piece at 1/4 inch on all 4 sides. So I'm going to come down. I'm actually going to do it twice. I've had this tool like forever, but yet I hardly ever use it. Because usually when I'm scoring my cardstock for my card bases, I'm using my paper trimmer to do that. But I'm going to use this to do this. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. I just want to do a nice simple like score all around all 4 sides on that. All right, so let me get this out of the way. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my piercing mat, being that we have a photopolymer stamp set. I do want to have a good stamped image. So I am going to bring in my strip, my die cut piece of basic white, and then I'm also going to bring in this piece that I had just scored. So for this card, I'm going to bring in my Bermuda Bay ink. It had since retired, but I really love that color. We got Daffodil Delight, and then I also have Granny Apple Green. All right, so I got my stamp set, and let me pull in our stamp set we're going to use. So I want Celebrate. So there's an outline, and then there's a filler piece, and then I want the little things. And then there is also a stamp that has 2 little stars on it, or sparkles, one of the 2. All right, so let me get some blocks here. And got our outline for Celebrate. And my filler piece, I don't have another long block, so I'm going to set that aside. And I'll reuse that other block once I stamp the outline. Okay, and then the little things, let me use a bigger block for that. Okay. All right, so on my long strip here, I'm going to get my Bermuda Bay ink, and my Celebrate. And I'm going to stamp that right here in the middle. Okay. And then I'm going to clean that because I'm going to need this block again. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay. I'll take this off, put that aside, and then we'll get our Celebrate and we'll put that on the block. I want to make sure it's going to be straight. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside for a moment, and while I got my Bermuda Bay ink out, I'm going to get my stamp that says The Little Things, and on this die cut I'm going to stamp this down towards the bottom like so. Okay, I'll set that aside. I'll set that aside, and I'm done with the Bermuda Bay ink. Okay, then let's bring our Celebrate in again, and my Granny Apple green ink. And let me see how this is going to stamp. Okay, it doesn't look bad. All right, so I'm going to pull this down a little bit so I can get lined up right over it. It actually doesn't look like it inked up in the middle. Okay. Trying to line this up. Okay. So we're going to let that dry. And it'll dry a little bit lighter. All right, in the meantime, let me go ahead and clean these stamps. Excuse me. Never fails whenever I go to start recording. My throat wants to get all scratchy, and I don't know why it wants to do that. Okay. So now I'm going to bring in my scored piece here and my Daffodil Delight ink. And these little sparkles, I'm going to stamp like within the scored lines. I'll stamp one there, then two more, kind of like a diagonal, like so. In this corner, I'm just going to stamp one, opposite corner. We're going to do three again. Then this corner, just one. Okay. So that's all the stamping that we're doing on this card. Just clean that really quick. All right, so I'm going to take this piece here, and I got my strips, and I'm going to bring in my liquid glue, and I'm going to take my Melon Mambo strip, add some glue, and then within the scored lines I'm going to add my strips like so, and I'm not worried about them being straight. So I'm going to work from the outside in. So I'm going to take my Petunia Pop one, Add some glue to this. And I'm going to add this one over here like so. And I'm not worried about them being even or being straight. And then, let's see, we want pumpkin pie. And then this one, go right here. And we have our other one. This one is going to go there, and then our last two pieces, Petunia pop again, and then Melon Mambo. Okay, and then this whole piece, I'm gonna glue this down to my card base. Okay, bring that in. And we'll center this like so. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Now on my little celebrate here, I'm going to bring in, we're going to decorate it up a little bit. So I'm going to bring in my dark Bermuda base Stampin' Blend. I want my bullet tip, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some dots in all of my letters. So I'm not worried about them being perfect. Just add a little bit more to this, giving it a little bit more of a decoration. Okay. And then of course that's even going to dry a little bit lighter as well. Okay, so then I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet, and on, let's see, on this greeting piece, I'm going to bring in my seal. I'm going to add some right up towards the top of this. Okay. Put this down here like so. I'm going to get my celebrate, and I'm going to just adhere that right underneath like so. Just make sure that's straight. Okay, press that down. All right, and then this whole piece, I'm going to pop this up. So let me get some dimensionals here. Let's see, do I have any actual... Well, I guess we're going to be using some of the edge pieces on here. I don't have any, you know, of the ones on the inside. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, words are hard. I don't know why I'm kind of struggling on what I'm trying to say, but yeah, I think it's because it's kind of late that I'm doing this, and it's been a long day. So, all right, so I have that on there, and then I'm going to add some more to the other piece I put on here, like so. All right, so I'm going to take this. Let's bring in our card. Make sure I got it in the right direction. And then we're going to take this and we're going to place this, after I get the glue goobers off of here, I'm going to place this right across here like so. Okay, and I got, for some reason, there's like some dried glue on there. Okay, and then for my embellishments on this, I'm going to use just the classic rhinestone basic jewels. I have a lot of the really small ones on here, so I'm going to add 3 of these on here. So let's see, we'll add one right there. We'll add one down here. And then we'll do one more right up here. Okay, so there is my first card. So pretty simple layout. You got your white, you got your pop of color, and I really like how this one came out. Okay, so now for our second card. This one is another case off of Pinterest, but again, I always like to change it up a little bit. You know, go with some different colors than the original that I saw. So on this one, I did not use one of the color cube cards on it. I just went with basically the colors that I felt that I saw in the designer series paper. So for this card, my card base is going to be cloud cover. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have a piece of the Mediterranean Blooms Designer Series paper. This was the paper that we had in our annual catalog last year. This was the one that had like all the lemons and the oranges in it. So this piece measures 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. I have a piece of basic white that's 5 1/4 by 4. I have another piece of basic white that's 3.5 by 7/8. And then out of some scrap cardstock, this is out of Peach Pie. I used the Spotlight on Nature Dyes. These are actually still available at the time of me filming and posting this. And then out of a scrap piece of cloud cover, I used that other label die that's in the set of dies to this bundle, and I die cut this one. You can see this one kind of has your stitched and jagged edge on either end, whereas the other one had the flagged end. Okay, so I'm going to fold and burnish my card base. This one too is another pretty simple layout, not a whole lot of craziness going on it. Again, the paper, in my opinion, the designer series paper is really doing all the work on this. Okay, so for my designer series paper, I am going to adhere this to my piece of basic white. And I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet just so I can see my piece of white cardstock a little bit better. Okay, so put that down. And then I'm going to adhere this to my card base. Now the color in the background of the designer series paper, it's not cloud cover, because at the time when this paper came out, cloud cover wasn't a color, but I think that it kind of works pretty good with it. Just looks like it's a lighter shade of it. So that's our card base. So I'm going to set that aside. For my stamping, I am going to bring in my garden green ink. And my Pierce net. Okay, and then for this one, I'm going to use Wishing. And let me put this over here and this over here. Okay, so I want the outline of the Wishing, and then I want the best day ever. Okay. All right, so let's put that over there. Let's get Wishing. Okay. And get my green. Ink this up. All right, and we're going to stamp that right here in the middle. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to use my blends to color that in, and I want it to be good and dry before I do that, because I don't want that ink to like feather when it gets wet when I use my blend. So I'm going to clean that off, and with my garden green still open, I'm going to bring in my little cloud cover label. I'll ink this up, and I will stamp this right in the middle like so. I'll set that aside, and we'll close this up. And I'm going to color my Wishing with the light and dark Daffodil Delight blends. Got little glue goobers all over the place. All right, clean that. I'll get this out of the way. I'm going to bring in, let's see, bring in a scrap piece of paper, just in case if the Daffodil Delight blends end up bleeding through this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to color in the lower half of my Wishing. And I'm not going to worry about, you know, there being like straight lines, because I'm going to blend with the light. Daffodil Delight blends seem to be very, very inky. So I'm trying not to do too much because I don't want that color to bleed out from my my stamped outline. Then I'm going to take my light and do the top half, kind of blend in a little bit with where the dark is. Okay, so you can see it kind of bleeds out a little bit because for some reason my Daffodil Delights are very, very inky. Okay, so now I'm going to take my peach pie, was it Spotlight on Nature die. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. And I'm going to place this about the center, maybe down a little bit. Okay, and then my wishing, I'm going to pop this up. Put a piece here, and then I'll grab another, like so. And then I'll get little pieces to put on either end. And we got one that's used up. And oh, I do have one dimensional on that sheet. Okay. Take off my paper backings. Okay, and then I'm going to place this right over the top like so. And then the best day ever, I'm going to get my, let's see, I think I got some small ones in here. I have them right here. Okay, so then I am going to take my take your pick tool, and let's see, I'm going to place this towards the bottom because I want the top of my little greeting piece to overlap that wishing just a little bit, like right on this area here. So I'm going to put 3 on here. Okay, and then this is going to go right about there, like so. All right, then for my embellishments for this, I'm using the embellishments that actually went with this, I think it was called Mediterranean Bloom Suite. And the embellishments are the opal rounds. So in here you have an iridescent clear, Night of Navy, and Daffodil Delight. There's 2 different sizes on here, so I need the small Daffodil Delights, but I have used all of them on this sheet. So I'm going to take one of my large ones here. I'm going to add that right here. And what's cool about this, you can kind of see through these, so you can see the design of that designer series paper. And then I'm going to grab two of my smaller Daffodil Delight ones, and I'm going to add those right there. So there is the second card. So another one that's just a very simple layout, but does have a little bit of a really cool effect with the um what's the word I'm looking for? Words are hard, with the coloring of the wishing, kind of like having that variegated color. Now, of course, because it was very inky, did go outside a little bit, but it's not too bad. So there is my second card. Let me bring in the first one. And so here is our white with our pop of color. Again, using the colors that are off of this Color Cube card number 56. And my other one using the Mediterranean Blooms Designer Series paper. So if you like the projects that I have made, please give the video a thumbs up. If you also, if you like the video, I also have like 350 other videos out here on my channel. I do Throwback Thursdays, again, which I pull out my retired product. And then I also do Friday Night Lives at 6 p.m. Central Time. Tomorrow night, I will be featuring the, um, yeah, what is it that hold on, what am I using? Um, Springtime Scenes is what I'm going to be using tomorrow. So that is a new bundle that came out with the March online exclusives. The projects are going to come out really, really cute. What I do on my Friday Night Lives, at the end of the live, I do a card giveaway of those projects that I have made in the video. Uh, Also, on the first of every month, I do a monthly Christmas card inspiration, give you some ideas if you would like to make your Christmas cards throughout the year. Then I'd have a playlist also for Paper Pumpkin. Every month when I get the kit, I do an unboxing, and then I create one of each of the projects. So there's a lot of different things that I do have out on my channel, so be sure to check it out. Also, I'll mention that with my Friday Night Lives, I do create a PDF that has pictures of the projects plus the list of supplies and the inks and all that that I've used, on the cards. There's also a link in the date on the PDF that will take you right back to the video that I did using that product. So those are free to download. Again, the link is in that Friday Night Live. I also have a monthly newsletter that I typically do on the first Tuesday of each month. In that, I have my video playlist, so I let you know what product I'm using throughout the month. And then also anything Stampin' Up is offering, what I may be offering. And then a heads up on the new kits that came out for that month as well. So if you would like to receive that, there's a link for that too in the description of the video below. There's a couple of other links there too. The product of the month, items that are in our last chance, excuse me, in our last chance products. And then also if you would like to receive a catalog. So right now, we still have our annual catalog and our January to April mini. There is going to be a new catalog. We are no longer going to have an actual annual catalog. We are going to have 3 catalogs in a year. So each catalog is actually going to contain like all of the core products, like the cardstock, the inks and things like, and the tools and things like that that you would normally see in the annual catalog, but that's going to be in each one of those catalogs. So that's what's going to come up rather an actual annual catalog. So if you would like to receive one, if you're in the US and if you're not working with another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd be more than happy to mail one out to you when they come out. Please send me an email. My email is in the description. Of course, your full name and also your mailing address. And again, if you're not working with another demonstrator and if you are here in the US. Other than that, that's all I have for you for this particular video. So again, yeah, tomorrow night, Friday, what is it going to be? Oh, March 13th. I will be featuring the Springtime Scenes bundle. Going to be some really cute projects, so hope that you can join us. And until then, everyone, if you are in the path of any severe weather, please be safe and God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.